The Secretary of State's office settles a lawsuit that could impact 500,000 Georgia voters. 11 Alive's Elvin Lopez explains how this all started with just a single man, one voice.
This all started with Jin Kwon. He's a 65-year-old Korean man, and he doesn't speak English fluently, so he voted in the midterm elections with the help of his interpreter. But he wouldn't have been able to vote in the runoff elections until now, and this is why. Up until now, the law allowed you to have an interpreter of your choice for a federal election, but not for a state election. So for the November midterm elections, where there were both federal races and state races on the ballot, he could bring an interpreter of his choice. But for the runoffs next week, there are only state races and no federal races on the ballot. And the law would have only allowed him to use a close family member or an interpreter registered in his same precinct. In his case, he doesn't have a family member nearby who speaks English fluently, and counties don't facilitate an interpreter. That's when the lawsuit was filed with the help of a nonprofit group, Asian Americans Advancing Justice. The fact that they won this case is not only a victory for Kwon, but for many others.
There are about 500,000 people in the state of Georgia who are limited English proficient.
Wen says voting can oftentimes be confusing and complicated even for a fluent English speaker.
Multiply that times, 5 for somebody who, one, didn't grow up here, so is unfamiliar generally with the system, and then two, English is their second or third or fourth language. Imagine how intimidating that process is.
Kwon came to the U.S. when he was 37, so he's been in the U.S. for almost 30 years. And like him are many others who speak the language but simply aren't comfortable voting in a language that they're not fluent in without help. So this settlement makes all the difference for Kwon and many like him. In the newsroom, I'm Elwin Lopez, 11 Alive News.
All right, Elwin, thank you.